Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Noah Cameras here alongside Ariel Putterman, and welcome to this week's Kobe tribute episode of dTSPN. So Kobe Bryant's career came to an end this past Wednesday. It was an amazing career that he had. Here are some stats to just back that up. He had 33,643 career points, which was the third most of all time. He averaged 25 per game. He played in 1,346 games. Is that just regular season?
That's regular season
Just
and
regular.
postseason.
Oh, and postseason. So that's complete total games, which is a lot of minutes, especially because he played
crazy.
about 40 minutes per game for the first 10, 15 years. He's a 5-time NBA champion, which is really good. It's up there with the most of all time. He has 11 first-team NBA, all NBA team selections, which is tied most of all time. He's just had an amazing career. He's done everything for this Lakers organization. He stayed there for 20 NBA seasons, which was the most for a player on the same team. Ever John Stockton was 19 with the Jazz. Kobe now surpassed that this year. So a really great career. And on Wednesday, if you watched the game, I know I was watching the game as a huge Kobe fan. And if you watched
I'm
it,
also
we're huge Kobe fans.
fan.
So we watched the game. It was a really happy game. He came out. He dropped 60 points. Yes, it was on 50 shots, but 60 points for the Lakers. He brought them back. He was clutch at the end. He gave them a win. What do you think about the game?
I think it's crazy. In your last game scoring 60 points, most people don't score 60 ever. And he scores in his last game. Are you kidding me? That's absolutely insane.
It's vintage Kobe.
Vintage Kobe, exactly.
So he comes out, he scores 60. He brings the Lakers back, like he said. He was really clutch at the end. He was actually 5 for 5 on his last 5 attempts. He scored 15 in a row for the Lakers and then had an assist at his last play. And at the end of the game, if you heard, the Lakers fans were yelling, chanting, screaming his name. So here's how it sounded.
60.
So at the end of the game, you see the fans were just yelling his name, screaming his name. They just wanted to say they were Kobe, MVP, whatever they were chanting. But then at the end, he did come out and he did give a speech. What was your favorite part about his speech?
My favorite part of the speech has to be when he said, throughout his career, everyone would say, pass the ball, pass the ball, pass the ball. And then in the last game, they're saying, shoot, shoot, shoot. I think that's just hilarious.
Yeah, well, Kobe's always had a sense of humor. His press conferences, if you watch, are always really funny. He actually gave a story in the press conference after the game, after the speech, after everything. He talked about being the hero versus the villain and how his daughter asked him about being the hero versus the villain. And the whole family said he's allergic to bees. And the daughter asked him, and he asked his daughter, what would you do if there was a bee swarming around your head? And she said, I would take a magazine and hit it. And then she asked, would the bee be the villain? And he goes, well, in your perspective, yes, but in the bee's perspective, you're the villain. So he's really smart, he's really funny, and I love all of his interviews. So Kobe Bryant, yes, he gives a really nice speech. Now also, Wednesday, in LA specifically, was Mamba Day. And they had an LA Fest before the game at LA Live from 4 to 7, so there were just thousands of fans there. So about Mamba Day, how do you think it was a nice tribute for Kobe?
I think it was a really great tribute. Kobe's done everything for this town, for the city, for 20 years, and they really gave it back to him. They did so much for him. You saw it was packed. Everyone was yelling. Everyone was screaming. Everyone was crowded outside. So I think they did a really good job.
Yeah, actually, with LA Fest, they had to start the game a little later because all the fans were trying to get in after LA Fest, so they had to just delay the game about 10 minutes from tip-off because they wanted to have these whole tributes, but not all the fans were there. And they obviously wanted at least most of the fans to be in there. So that was really cool. So now we're going to go on to some of our favorite Kobe moments. I'll start with you. What is your favorite Kobe moment?
My favorite Kobe moment has to be in Game 7 of the NBA Finals against the Boston Celtics when they won that really close one. It was 4 points, I think, 83-79. And it was just such a great moment for Kobe. He didn't know this at the time, but it was his last championship. He really had a really strong team that year, back-to-back. And I think it was so special against the rivals. He really, really wanted this championship, and he got it. And I just love that moment.
Yeah, that moment is probably my number 2 moment, but my number 1 would have to be, even though this is really hard for me to bring back as a Kobe fan, but when he tore his Achilles, and not that he tore his Achilles, but what he did after is first of all, he tried to put it back into place, which I think is crazy. I mean, most people would cry after they tear his Achilles, but Kobe just tried to put it back into place. He limps over to the free throw line. He then sinks the 2 free throws. They were down by 2 at the time against the Warriors. He sinks the 2 free throws, and then he limps but walks off He shows a lot of strength as he
Just
walks off the court,
incredible.
and I just think that's a Kobe-defining moment. Because to tear your Achilles is one of the hardest things to come back from. And Kobe walked off the court. He did have some tears in his eyes, but he comes back, and he comes back even stronger for the Lakers. Okay, so next we're going to talk about our favorite Kobe dunk of all time.
My favorite Kobe dunk has to be the one on Dwight Howard against the Orlando Magic back when he was on the Magic. You see him, he crosses over one player, two players, then he just rises up against Dwight Howard. And every time Dwight sees Kobe dunk, he gets terrified because he just gets flashbacks from that. And that was his first time being dunked on. And to be dunked on by Kobe, especially like that, that's just a scary thing to do.
Yeah, that was a big one, especially because then they were teammates and they had a really big rift. And Kobe can always just say back to Dwight, remember that time when I dunked on you? My favorite dunk would have to be, it was when Robert Horry made a full court pass to Kobe. He did a behind the back and then did a 360 dunk.
That was crazy.
That was one of the craziest dunks I've ever seen. It was a great pass by Horry, but Kobe Bryant, the young Kobe, he went behind the back, he lifted up, and he just slammed one down.
Back in the number 8 days.
Back in the number 8 days. All right, now we're going to go on to your favorite Kobe play of all time. It could be a shot, it could be a pass, anything.
My favorite Kobe play of all time has to be that buzzer beater against the Heat. 3.2 seconds left, gets it, banks it in, three-pointer for the win. That was absolutely crazy. I remember seeing that, not live. I remember recording it. I bet you did too.
Yeah.
It was crazy, and I just really enjoyed that moment.
Yeah, that's the kind of play where like you remember where you were when it happened.
Oh yeah.
And I just remember that was crazy. My favorite, well, first of all, that year, that was his year when he had like 5 or 6 buzzer beaters. So that was just his clutchest year. I think it was 2010 or 2011. So I love that year. My favorite moment, his play would probably be against the Suns in the playoffs when first he stole the ball. He made a layup on the other end to tie it at 90. They forced it to overtime, and then they come back in overtime. And Kobe Bryant, 6 seconds left off of tip off. He runs up the court. He makes the shot. He has the celebration.
The celebration is
His
so
teammates
famous.
that celebration. It's a famous
Yeah.
celebration, and that has to be one of my favorite Kobe plays of all time. So that is going to wrap up our episode. Make sure you look on our YouTube page for our all-time Kobe top moments. We have our top 10 Kobe moments of all time. So make sure you check that out. It's a really nice video. And thank you so much for watching, and we will see you later.